It's playoff time, and you're tuning in 2.5 Hoopers. It's Monday, May 24th, 2021, DJ Augustine's favorite basketball podcast. All right, so I got Josh Rhodes here.
Best time of the year for any basketball fan.
Better than March Madness?
Unless you're a Pistons fan.
Or, a Magic
That's debatable.
fan.
That's debatable, actually. I don't know March Madness. We didn't have March Madness, honestly, in my opinion, this year.
Just March, no madness? Just kind of laid back?
Oh, UCLA goes on a deep run, and now the tournament's fake, huh? Mickey Mouse.
Before you talk,
Madness.
Your name's George Martin. Say hi to everyone.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
I'm your host, Jacob Lehman. We got a good show. It was playoff basketball this weekend, and a lot of game ones happened. All the game ones happened, actually. And we got a lot to say about it. We got some Laker fans here. We got some Knick fans here. I'm a diehard Sacramento Kings fans, and they didn't make it, but I still have a few opinions.
We don't have any Philadelphia 76er haters on the podcast. Sorry, Frankie.
We don't. We have no Philly haters. I think so. We dropped our brackets on. I guess we'll say this now. If you're listening to us and you don't follow us on Instagram, I'd be very surprised because I think the only ones that listen to us are our friends, and we got a lot of good follows on there. But if you listen to us, don't follow us. We dropped our brackets there, full there, all the way to the finals. All three of us. George, you had the Bucks making the finals, right?
I did.
So we'll get to that later because they had a very tight game. Me and Josh have Philly making the finals, and then we dropped how many games we have and all that stuff, and then we'll update them as the rounds go just because, like, if Blazers and Clips get upset, that'll kind of change. Or if Clips and Nuggets get upset, that'll kind of change where we're headed to. So we'll update there. But yeah, go ahead and check us out on Instagram at THHoopers, Twitter too. Who knows? Yeah, speaking of Instagram and Twitter, give us a follow if you haven't. Drop a comment. You'll get a shout out. I think we had some good dialogue on last post, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get this pulled up.
I know Kevin commented, and I commented back at him.
So yes, we posted twice, so we're kind of on the grind here. The episode post, we have Perry the Art Vogel and Hand Magic Tuma. They're trying to get us to go on Empire Records.
Empire Records is what.
And then Kevin Gianni, he says Bam should be a finalist for Deep Boy. I know we had him on our all defense. I think they made all second teams. So I want to give Kevin. Yeah. I don't want to give Kevin an explanation on why he wasn't. George.
Hold on a second. Here, my microphone. Okay, can y'all hear me?
We could hear you before, unfortunately.
Sorry. But so for the Defensive Player of the Year candidacy, there's obviously three. And Bam is actually one of the better, switching fives. And I was considering him. I put him on my all-defensive second team. But when I looked at the three candidates that I put ahead of him, Ben Simmons can guard 1 through 5, and he's very elite in that category. Rudy Gobert, as much as we hate on him, he's basically their defensive force in Utah. I mean, he leads the leagues in total blocks, and he's actually pretty valuable, showing their plus minuses. I love that stat. And then Draymond, he's incredible. He's the reason that the Warriors have a top 5 defense. So I just felt those three were deserving. I think Bam's right on the outside, though. So, I mean, I get where he's coming from.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll let Josh answer this one. D-Step, great episode, fellas. Let George get some sleep. Are we going to let George get any sleep, or are we just going to keep him up like this? Yeah, no.
It's 2:30 this time, Step.
I mean, we got you on pretty early here. And then, so next post, we didn't post Cole's bracket. It was kind of a fluke. He didn't really make a good bracket. Jake Guardhouse, friend of the show. He liked George's rainbow font for his bracket, so kudos there. Then Frankie, our boy Frankie, not a big Philly believer. Mentioned it before. He says either Nets or Bucks are making it. Neither of us have Nets. And want to get the next. We'll save while we don't have Nets for later in the show. So Frankie, if you really listen, you'll get your question answered. Just not right now.
Frankie, if you listen and we get to that point, comment.
He's not. But we just sent some of those questions there. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down there. We'll answer them right at the top of the show at THHoopers. Let's get into it, guys. All right, so we'll start. I want to do it quickly. Grizzlies beat the Warriors 117-112 in OT to secure the second seed, the 8th seed, not second seed, the 8th seed. I predicted this, so pat on the back, kinda, but
Mickey Mouse prediction.
Because the Draymond shot. So I guess we'll start there. Draymond shot. George, What happened here down the line? So it went to OT, so it was a close game.
Yeah, so I believe it was tied, and they got the ball back. Steph brings it up the court, immediately gets doubled. He gets trapped basically on the side, and people were saying he should have just shot it over him. It would have been a better chance than what Draymond did. Gives the ball to Draymond. Draymond's at the top of the key. He dribbles all the way in, and he basically decides halfway through to change his shot. I think he was going for more of a floater. Or no, he's going for more of a layup, and then he changed it to a floater. He just lost the ball. It hits the side of the backboard and falls down and go to overtime. But he could have taken a floater, stopped and took a midi, or just laid it up normally. And he didn't do anything. And it went to overtime. And then, as we know, the Josh show kind of takes over. I'm going to switch to that point. Basically, in that first game, they were giving him the Ben Simmons treatment. They were 15 feet away from him. He wasn't making anything. This game, he came out firing. I think he had a career high in threes, which unfortunately won't count for the playing game. They don't count records, 5 or 6. And yeah, I mean, he was hitting them. He really got downhill to his floater game too. That's what was really keeping them in the game and got them to win. Because when he started getting hot, they kind of ran him off the 3-point line, and they wanted to funnel him into where Looney was and Draymond to try and stop his shot or make him kick it out. He was just getting to them floaters every time, and that actually sealed the game in overtime. So I thought that was really impressive bounce back from him, and looking forward to more of it in the first round from him.
Yeah, it was driving me crazy because in that game battle for the 8 seed, the commentators, it was nationally televised, obviously, because it was an important game, and this is going to haunt them in years to come. Your point guard has to be able to shoot. I'm like, Jaw's water. Jaw's normally pretty good, but he went 1 for 6 in that game, I think, in the battle for the 8 seed. So he didn't play too good there. Yeah, right here, 5 for 10. Josh, anything to add from what you witnessed here?
No, not really.
So you take then, was it a successful season for the Warriors? I'll give it to Josh first, and then I'll give it to George.
Well, I don't know how much I should say because of George, but I'm gonna go.
Everything you got, Josh.
I'm gonna go with no, unfortunately, because I don't think the Warriors. I mean, they're gonna get Clay back, but I just don't think they're in a real position because Minnesota probably is gonna keep their pick. So I don't think they're in any superior position to gain assets. They still didn't really make a decision on what they want to do with Wiseman. They don't even know if they want to rebuild or not. They're torn in this middle. We'll have to see what happens when Clay gets back. But I think it's just another year, no playoffs, and it exhausted Steph. You could clearly tell toward the end he was gasping. So it's unfortunate. You waste a year of your best player's prime. But, it is what it is. It's not really much I can think about that would make it any different. Because I wouldn't want them to tank, but I don't think it was a successful season for the Warriors.
Yeah, this season took years off Steph's life, and you still got probably the healthiest Steph we've seen in a few years here.
Exactly.
George, take us home here. Successful season for the Warriors. They missed the playoffs while having 2 chances to make the playoffs, and also where it seems like everyone's making the playoffs now. So, successful season or not?
Nowhere near successful. I mean, you have a top 3 player in the league right now, and you're not even making the playoffs. And I just felt especially this season with all the injuries and just looking at how the playoffs have shaped up so far, I mean, it's about as open as it's been in a while. And I just felt I know that they weren't trying to make any big moves because Clay was out, but even a few lateral moves gets them up to a 6 seed. I mean, in a certain spot right now in the West, they could have made a conference finals if they had a little bit of a better shaped roster, but they weren't trying to chase wins. They brought in a 19-year-old to try and develop him who wasn't on Steph's timeline. And just all this kind of kept mixing up and just fell flat at the end of the year. So we'll see what happens, like Josh said, next season. But is their front office going to get aggressive? I don't know. Are they okay with, contending for the play-in? Do they want to bring in another rookie? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you guys are coming from, but they're one Jordan Poole shot away from a tie ball game and a game for the 7 seed. So, I mean, you kind of go back and forth. But, yeah, great season from Steph. Underrated season from Wiggins and Draymond. Kind of the rest of the team. Up for auction, garage sale. Come get Kevon Looney, waive Kelly Oubre, and get Klay Thompson back. Be aggressive. We don't know if the Timberwolves are going to keep their pick. The odds are the same for the top 3 for the bottom 3 teams. So someone's going to move out of there, and it could be the T-Wolves. We'll see. Come off, see what we think Warriors are going to do. They'll probably one of the best ones to talk about in the offseason because they can go either way. All right, fun stuff now. I would say game of the weekend. This was probably the series I was looking to most because it's kind of up in the air. I think it'll go 7. Jacob Cizek says no, too boring, too much defense. Normally I'd agree with him, but this is Ice Trey, game winner.
Playoffs is all defense.
Hawks
baby.
beat the Knicks 107-105 after a series of back and forth shots. Like I said, Ice Trey ices the game, floater, 32-10. He had a game winner coming down with a head of steam. Did 6 crossovers on, I believe it was Frank Ntilikina.
Poor guy got put in on the last possession.
And 0.5 seconds left. Knicks don't get off a shot. Spike Lee goes home. Sad. They drop game 1 on their home court. So yeah, Hawks win second half by 8. Came down the wire, like I said. Hawks only commit 6 turnovers and had more steals and blocks in the battle of the D's. Oh, whoosh. Like I said, Trey had 32 and 10, including the game winner. Everyone for New York struggled besides Rose and Burks off the bench. Rose 17 and Alec Burks 27. So
18 in the fourth from Alec Burks, by the way.
Our boy Alec Burks, they like to finish the game with him. He was cooking. MSG was bumping. George, just take me down what happened down the stretch and what stopped the Knicks from kind of winning this game.
So yeah, a lot of the second half before they got to the fourth quarter, Knicks were controlling the pace. I mean, they were up, I think, 8 going into the fourth. They had really gotten to their pace of play, kind of getting the Hawks a little bit uncomfortable. And then in the fourth, kind of like what Ja was doing in that playing game, Trey was getting downhill, getting to floaters, kicking the ball out to shooters on the wings like Bogdanovich and Hunter. And it was really impressive. And they kind of riled up that Knicks defense that has been so special all year. And coming down on the Knicks side, a really bad playoff debut from Julius Randle. I know he's not going to be like this the whole time, but I felt like a lot of that offensive, miscues from him kind of hurt them down the stretch.
6 for 23.
Yeah, big moments from young guys like Obi Toppin and IQ. Rose was huge down the stretch as well. But I felt like when the game was on the line, the Hawks, even though they're very young, kind of showed like a veteran. They looked like a veteran squad down the stretch, so that's good for them moving forward.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more Hawks, touch on some Knicks, and I'll let Josh. I know he has some thoughts on what happened for New York here. Elfrid Payton, I finally figured out what's going on. He's just Keith Bogans. He's this version of Tom Thibodeau's Keith Bogans, holy hell, where Keith Bogans started all 82 games of the whole season, started all the playoff games. He's out of the league next year. He's not actually a player. Tibbs just likes him. But for the Hawks, I get some praise here. Playoff debut for almost everyone. Trae Young, John Collins, I believe Bogdanovich too, DeAndre Hunter. I thought we were going to get Cam Reddish back this game, but we didn't. We did get Hunter
be out
back,
the whole
though.
first round.
We did get Hunter back though, which was a good sign, and he had 5 points in 22 minutes.
He hit a big three on the stretch too.
Gallo looking sick with that mohawk. Yeah, he's looking like Taxi Driver. He's looking like Mr. T. He's looking great. But yeah, overall, just a great game for the Hawks. Trae Young is going to give them enough offense always, as long as their defense comes through. And Trae Young had 10 assists, shot efficiently, 3 threes, and that's what I like. That's what I like now with Trae Young ever since Nate McMillan took over. The three's not falling. He's driving. He went 1 for 3, wasn't feeling it. Drive. You have a tight hand. Get those floaters. Do it. So, Josh, New York, talk to me.
I'm actually a lot more confident in my take that the Knicks are going to win this series just because of how bad it was watching. First of all, nobody would like to mention the fact that this is the first time in like 4 months RJ Barrett's played under 35 minutes. That's disappointing. I'm rather upset about that. It looks like they took him off the court a lot when they didn't need to. I don't know why George brought up Obi Toppin as a positive. He literally didn't play a lick of defense. Absolute useless.
But he had a nice dunk and a 3-pointer.
Oh, congrats. I mean, MSG is about that. Like, you get any dunk.
Electrifying plays.
They were they had the loudest crowd. I could actually hear their fans chant defense, which is
Phoenix
very nice.
too, though. Phoenix too. I don't know if it's just because like I was like watching the Lakers, like rooting for them. And I just hear it. I'm like, oh my god, this is Arizona.
Those 2 games were crazy in terms of crowd control. But Obi Toppin. I don't know why Tom Thibodeau decided to play him now. There's no reason for that. He played 11 minutes. Not great defense. I think John Collins got a good chunk of it. That's good. John Collin got a good chunk of his points in that section. But again, with the Hawks, a lot of the shots they're shooting are rather risky. And I don't know how I feel exactly about that. Like, I get the scheme. Trae Young was playing phenomenal. He kind of controlled the pace of the game, as George said. But a lot of the shots they were getting, including a couple of the ones they got to tie the game, a couple of go-aheads, were a lot of, like, grabs. Like, it could go either way. Like, I remember one specific play, Young passes out to Bogey, and if RJ Barrett grabs the ball, it's a turnover. Knicks win the game. So I don't know exactly how I feel.
I'm glad you chose one play down the stretch to dictate that they had taken horrible shots all game.
Well, actually, I gave you an example, as I said, but I'm glad that you're listening. But I'm also really upset at the point. Do you want me to do a play-by-play for you, George? Can you let me finish talking? And I also don't like how Taj Gibson played 24 minutes. I think Nerlens Noel was just better for them. And I was like, did he get in foul trouble? None of them got in foul trouble. So why is Tibbs all of a sudden hitting the back pedal on everybody that's not named Derrick Rose in terms of
Noel did get hurt in the third, by the way, and he didn't come back in until like the late fourth.
Okay, so I did miss that portion of it. But again, Julius Randle, I guess hefty 36, but I feel like in terms of playoff ball, like he should be playing a lot if he's not in foul trouble. Derrick Rose played the amount that I expected him to. RJ Barrett played way too low. But like I don't get why Taj Gibson's getting 24 minutes. He's not good. He's just not good.
So, George, Josh touched on a lot of it. It was a lot of questionable rotational things from Tibbs. And it was kind of a lot of backpedaling for season, what he's known for. Like you said, RJ Barrett only 32 points. 32 minutes. Elfrid Payton did the thing where he plays 8 minutes. D Rose, the leading minutes guy off the bench with 38.
Absolute menace.
And then him putting in Frank Ntilikina for 30 seconds to guard Trae Young and just in that last play.
That was very questionable.
What's the worst decision he made? And also playing Obi Toppin, he only plays him like 8 minutes, put him 12 minutes there.
So
what was the most questionable thing you saw from the game?
I agree with Josh to an extent. You kind of do need to chop down the rotations in the playoffs. Like an 8-9 is what we've seen most teams do that go deep in the playoffs. But like with RJ, he was struggling offensively. And a guy like Alec Burks, when he's that hot, you want him in and closing.
You keep both of them in.
Yeah, but they also had D Rose closing. So they had D Rose and Alec Burks over Peyton
and Barrett.
Barrett wasn't closing the whole time.
You could play Barrett at the 3. I've been telling.
I'm just saying he was struggling. I'm saying he was struggling offensively. That's why they probably pulled him out.
I don't understand why you would pull your supposed second best player out of the game because he's struggling offensively.
When Alec Burks is 9 for 13 and D Rose is your
then you keep out. They
scorer.
George, they've done this rotation before. You know that, right?
But Barrett hasn't struggled like this. You mentioned it's the only time he's played under 35 minutes.
I get it, Josh.
The last time I saw him shoot under 50% in a long, long time. Barrett was physically struggling out there to play against this Atlanta defense.
I get what you're saying. Like they've done it all season. Why do you change now? It's a little bit of a shorter leash too. I mean, if he's struggling that badly and Alec Burks is that hot and D Rose has 17 on 50%, you're gonna want those guys in over them. But anyways, the Frank thing. Yeah, I didn't get that. I don't know what he saw. I know he's a decent on-ball defender, but like at that point, his first minutes are in crunch time and against a guy who's been hot all game. And I don't know. I just felt like I don't know. I didn't like that, but I didn't know where else they would go. I don't know who else. I mean, you're not going to put D Rose.
Oh, maybe you could put RJ Barrett, their best perimeter defender, on him. Oh, wait, he's struggling offensively. It's not like they have 4 other guys that can score on the court. Oh,
for that
let's lower the confidence of our second best player in the game.
Taj Gibson always good for a bucket. The other 4 guys in the court good for a bucket. Yeah, Josh. Okay, let's wrap this up here. Who's got game 2? Atlanta or New York? I'll start with
New York's winning by far.
Okay, Josh.
I think we see a big Julius Randle bounce back. Yeah.
There's no 0-2 deficit this game. This series.
So.
Okay. I think I see a Knicks bounce back as long as Spike's there. Spike's there.
Exactly.
Moving on to the other. George, we're talking basketball. It's gonna be a while. Do you have somewhere to be? All right. Bucks beat the Heat 109-107. Barely keeping mine and George's agenda alive. Barely by the hairs of our chinny chin chin.
There was so much ugly about this game.
Went to OT. Middleton sent the Heat not home, but to the hotel. They can still go one more game in Milwaukee with the midi jumper with 0.5 seconds left, and that made the final score 109-107.
Oh, he just broke down there.
Did I break?
Mickey, where are you?
And then,
well, I didn't say. Did I say went to OT? Middleton at the game winner.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Giannis shot bad, put up 27 and 18. Middleton and Holiday combined for 47. More on that later. Playoff Jimmy brought the intensity on D, but shot 4 for 22. Duncan Robinson came through with 24 points, got hot from 3-point. This series looks like it's going to go long. Did the first game live up to the hype, Josh?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this game was a lot of defensive battle, but it was also a lot of, they just weren't, a lot of the time I felt like Jimmy and Giannis just weren't expecting to get some of the opportunities that they were given. Like, I know Jimmy, like a funny one here, George, another example, one play when Jimmy got that layup, I don't think he expected to be able to get the shoulder over Giannis because of just the defensive mismatch there, but he did. He got the layup to go to OT. I like the swagger from Duncan Robinson and Dragic. They were shooting everything that they got, and they were making
boys.
And that's a very important thing. That's what Miami's going to need if they want to win the game. Yeah, this is kind of a very funny, like, ironic scene because we were talking about, which team is going to have a better backup support for their superstars. Superstars struggled today. It was all about the second and third options today. Jimmy shot horrible, like you said. Same with Giannis didn't shoot as bad, and he got it done on the boards. But I mean, yeah, this game definitely lived up to the hype. I'm very excited to see how Miami game plans now that they know that.
Yeah,
they can kind of get away with.
That's what scares me. Like now, suppose like we play it like this.
This was a field round game. 10-27. That's very good.
Yeah, and like you said, the other guys, like PJ Tucker, 0 points, but George sent like a nerd breakdown. Like he was playing great defense. Yeah. Great defense on there. No one scoring PJ Tucker.
Actually. He's the game one legend. Cinder block.
DiVincenzo 3 points on one of 5, but 10 boards. He's getting in there, getting dirty. And then for Miami, Dragic 25 points off the bench. Duncan Robinson hot from 13, and then Bam all the way went 4 for 15, and Jimmy shot horribly. Their defense was there, and Bam had 12 boards. So it's all about those other guys. Now, not the other guys, but the
Oh, he froze again.
Did I freeze again?
Your computer is cooked.
You would think for a playoff recap, we could get a decent, stable connection.
You would think that Spectrum would respect me as a podcaster now. But no, we can't get verified for Spectrum. But, George, before I freeze again, not the other guys, but the second options, Holiday, Middleton. We both agree this will not be a Giannis series just because Miami is too nice at defending Giannis, and they have too many guys. Giving them this game.
Gosh, he's breaking up. I think he's asking for your thoughts on the game.
Middleton, Holiday, George.
Yeah, those second and third options, they were very good, especially Middleton. Especially them going to him late in the game and him producing. I feel like that's pretty good for them moving forward because now maybe Yanni doesn't have to feel as much heat when he's coming down there. But can I talk about the rest of the game now instead of those two options?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did have a problem with the Bucks defense in the first half. They gave up. Heat had 50 3-point attempts, and I feel like that's just way too much. They made 20 of them, so that's 40%, which I guess you kind of live with that many threes taken. But their defense, man, especially, and I know you guys said he had a good game, sure, offensively, but what Miami was doing, they were attacking Brook Lopez in drop coverage, and he would not come up every time he sat in that paint. Duncan Robinson was coming off screens and getting those shots that he always does, and he was making a lot of them in the first half. He wasn't as hot the second half, but I mean that's the Bucks defense. That's what I've been talking about all year. They give you open threes. And Miami took pretty good ones. They took pretty high percentage threes. So that they need to tighten up on that. And Brook Lopez played 36 minutes. PJ played 18. I'm not saying pull
18 points, 8 rebounds compared to 0 points, 2 rebounds.
See, now you're looking at the offensive end only. I'm talking about the defensive end because
the defensive end, they held Miami to 107 points in 2021 in overtime, and Brook Lopez had 4 points, 2 boards in overtime.
So listen, with all those drop coverages, they were getting
With all
smoked.
due
pretty early
Drop
on in the game.
coverages,
And
the
listen,
engage 8, the this,
How
that.
long have I been saying when they drop Yanni to the 5, it makes their defense way
George,
better?
man,
And
they
I've
can't put
agreed.
Giannis on the
I've
5
agreed.
against Bam.
But George, you have to be. Well,
Oh, he paused.
Anyways,
froze.
so what I'm saying is the last 5 minutes and all of overtime. Actually, it was like the last 10 minutes and all of overtime. Brook Lopez was in the whole time. I'm fine with him like being in the last from 12 minutes to 5 minutes. I want to try and see them close with Yanni at the 5 just to see how it works. Because I just think
to see them lose a game.
if you really think them putting him at the 5 versus Brook Lopez is going to lose the game, I would be shocked.
Well, they did win the game with Brook Lopez in the game.
I'm going to lose my marbles if I freeze again. But you got to be able to
there he
change
goes.
your
No, he's there. He's there. He's there.
Why would you say that? We're just going to waste more time. You're talking here Mickey Mouse recap. We're just going to waste more time. Brook Lopez, he played good this game. You have to be able to evolve your opinion of hating Brook Lopez. This game, it worked for them playing him this game.
Not really. Like, you guys are harping on 4 points, 2 rebounds. They would have never been in overtime if they had guys who were coming up to stop the shots of Duncan Robinson. They were getting so many open looks at will, basically. In the first, Duncan Robinson.
That's a Buck thing. We always talk about the Bucks
But
cannot defend.
didn't you say Duncan Robinson wasn't that hot in the second half? And isn't that when they put Brook Lopez in the game?
Because he played a lot more than PJ.
I'm saying in the first half, Duncan Robinson got the first 9 points. 3 of them, 3 dribble handoffs and screens. Brook Lopez didn't come up for any of them. 9 points to start the game. And listen,
almost a third of his points you're deeming are Mickey Mouse because Brook Lopez was in the game.
I'm not deeming them Mickey Mouse. I'm saying it's a bad defensive strategy, which I've been saying about all year.
But Brook Lopez played 36 minutes, and he got a third of his points just in the first quarter, alone, just those first 9 points.
Breaking news, we are actually going to break the record for longest podcast held by J Sports of 1 hour and 58 minutes if we keep arguing about drop coverage. I think I'm going to agree with George on this one, although I don't like how hard he's pressing the drop coverage thing with Brook Lopez. I think that trying Giannis at the 5 is an experiment that kind of just needs to be tested just to see if it'll work because –
so when I said it 5 minutes ago, you're like, what if they lose a game when they do it? But now you're like, I agree with him. Yeah,
no, they're going to lose, but they need to make sure that they know they're going to lose.
They're going to lose with him at the 5. All right. Well, if that happens, then
I'm telling you, Bam,
I'll apologize.
we said this isn't a Giannis series, but now we're putting Giannis in the spotlight. That's two conflicting things.
If they lose with him at the 5,
who's taking game 2? Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's taking game 2? I'm taking Miami. Miami takes
so
game 2.
They're going to get the split. George.
Bucks are going up 2-0.
Yeah, they're good at that. And then Miami might win 4 in a row.
10 on 24
Bucks are good at going up 2 in a row.
it.
Milwaukee's going to be rocking. I think that's the last time George is in Wisconsin, so he'll be at the game, hopefully. I got Milwaukee taking the second game.
Fair
Josh,
enough.
you have Heat in 6 or 7?
6.
Okay, I had Milwaukee in 5. But remember, because I said the longer it goes, the more likely Heat have of winning it. But I'm terrified every game. I simply am. I think I'm putting too much thought into it because 5 is at – no, it's at Milwaukee. Okay, yeah, 5. Milwaukee in 5. Moving on. So now that we're done breaking down close games, we have an upset here. Mavs beat the Clips in Staples. Going into the 4th and also close the game on 18-5 run. Those Clippers.
Maybe I should start doing the box scores because he keeps freezing at the most important time.
Luka was great. 31-point, triple-double. All the Mavs role players, perfect, hitting threes, playing D.
Funny joke, George.
Porzingis struggled. That's expected at this point. Clippers were disappointed. YMPG come on for 49. Once again, this team cannot get it done. For the record, though, I think PG had a pretty decent game. Clips D was out of whack, has let the Mavs shoot 50% from the field, and Luka looked very comfortable. Clips go cold from 3, shoot 26%. I know Luka has a Clips number, but this should this be worrisome dropping this first game if you're the Clippers, George?
Yes, definitely. You don't want to give up your home court advantage, especially since Dallas is going to be at full capacity for games 3 and 4. Mark Cuban is going to have them bumping. But to get to the game, I felt Luka was just dissecting their defense, and you kind of said they have their number.
Another game winner.
He was just switching. He was just finding, the like switches. He was hunting guys on defense. He was getting Kawhi and PG weren't switching on a lot of the screens, so he said, okay, he was switching on to Zubats, taking Pat Bev to the cup and getting and ones. And actually, an update here: Ty Lue said that they're probably going to be seeing Kawhi take the matchup of Luka next game. So
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, because Luka kind of Kawhi just has someone else guard him and then takes him in the last few minutes. But we'll see about that. But I felt Luka was just dissecting their defense really well. And then in the last 6 minutes, Lehman called it on our text. They were hunting jump shots, and 18-5 run, like he said, they can't do that if they want to win this series.
And I'm not doing it because I have some bias towards the Clippers. They're 26th ranked in below 5-minute offense. It's just
Clutch offense.
It's not good. And I thought Rondo would fix that, but I mean he did not play too well.
There's a reason why we think he won't fix that, but we're not going to get into that. So
I think Rondo played okay.
Oh no, he played fine. I can't. Well, I don't even know what he's saying, man.
I don't know what he said to me.
I just said talk.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll go on my point. This is a very much pick'em series. I know we kind of were like just saying it'll go 7 just because of how close it is between these teams, but the momentum shifts not present. Dorian Finney-Smith absolutely yammed the basketball to complete their 11-0 run. I was like, they're going to run away with it. Next thing I know, Kawhi Leonard is absolutely ending Maxi Kleber's life. And the only thing I've been seeing on Twitter for the last 2 days, they lost the game, but it's a cool picture. Paul George, Marcus Morris, Kawhi Leonard just yelling at Kleber for no reason. I thought that was going to end the game. Nope. So I think ultimately it did come down to those final 6 minutes because it was kind of a gimme game for both teams until that. And it was just a matter of, I know we talk about jump shot hunting, but when you're playing a team like a Mavericks who are arguably equally as boom or bust at the end of the game, although they do have Luka Doncic, it's kind of just who makes their jump shots and who doesn't. And I get that they settle a lot more than Dallas does because Dallas kind of game plans for their jump shots. But when you have Paul George and Kawhi, it's really hard, despite their history, to bet against them. You got to just hope that some of those shots fall through. And maybe Ty Lue should make a game plan kind of like Dallas does for the jump shot so it's not ISO ball. But at the end of the game, it was just Dallas made their jump shots, Clippers didn't. That was the story.
No, I disagree because I'm hoping I was freezing because my Spotify was open. I closed it. Hopefully it's better now. But yeah, it's the Clippers jump shots are coming off of a Paul George cross, then fading into a 3. The Mavs jump shots are they're open 3s coming off a Luka pocket pass.
Creation. Yep.
And then also they're pump faking. They're driving in.
I just said they make plays for him.
Yeah, but they weren't always jump shots. There was Porzingis dunks. There were Luka drives. These aren't. They don't hunt as equally for jump shots. And then plus, Luka's the great equalizer for the Mavericks. He will be clutch, and he will always be clutch. George, any other really thoughts from here?
One last thing before we can move on. Terrence Mann only played 14 seconds. They put him in when the game was already sealed. I don't like that at all because I've given him praise about how he's kind of like a scrappy guy, do it all, dives to the 50-50 balls. He also puts pressure on the rim. He's not going to hunt for jump shots, late in the game. I'm not expecting him to close, obviously, but maybe with 5, 4, 3 minutes, not when the game's super close, but just to get him in. And I don't know. I felt that was weird. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Can Mavs win this series with Porzingis playing as bad as he did, 4 for 13?
Yeah.
For sure? Because it seems like the guys helped. Finney-Smith, 18, Hardaway Jr., 21, Brunson, 15. Are you always going to get that?
Possibly. I mean,
the way Luka's creating all the time. Yeah, of course.
Don't put quotations. He had 11 assists, and every time it's a pocket.
I'm doing the fright fingers. I'm not doing.
You don't believe it.
What'd you call? They're called jazz hands. You call them fright fingers?
Well, no, these are jazz hands. The fright fingers are the.
The thing is, they were starting to blitz Luka, and he's kind of one of the better playmakers. When they try and force double teams, and they're getting open shots like Tim Hardaway and Finney-Smith. They'll knock them down if they're open. Obviously, they're not guys you're going to expect to hit close contested.
Much as I hate Dorian Finney-Smith, you cannot leave the man open.
Exactly.
All right. Who wins game 2? George.
I think the Clippers will bounce back. I have a little bit more faith, and we'll see if Luka has another triple double. If he goes back to back, that'd be crazy.
I'm taking Dallas. This series is very unpredictable. I think Dallas takes both at Clippers, and I think Clippers come back and take both at Dallas.
I would be very surprised if
the Clippers drop this one. Lemicki has an easy path to a ring. There's no excuses if he loses. There's no way the biggest threat in the West, besides Lakers, goes out first round, and Lemicki has any excuses. I got Clippers bouncing back and taking this, go 1-1. I think it'll be 2-2 going back to LA in Game 5, but
Definitely.
we'll see. Blazers Nuggets. Moving on. Blazers beat the Nuggets 123-109. Just as
George switched up. He picked Denver last second.
So we all have Denver, right?
Nope, I have Portland.
You have Portland, okay.
And
so you're just looking smarter and smarter.
To be fair, Josh, it was a pick 'em for me. I had Blazers in 7 originally,
I understand.
Last second, I'm like, I'll take the MVP.
All right. Hopefully, I don't freeze up because I got some stuff to read.
So far.
I have some stuff to talk to you guys about. Portland used their 19 threes, 95% free throw percentage to get to the.
Oh, he was doing so good.
No. Okay. All right. Dame at 34 with a lot of help. Most notably, Nurkic looking like his old self, 16 and 12.
Oh, no.
Dios mío. No. Nobody's going to listen to this.
Here, I'm going to send the recap over to Josh.
Okay. Well, going on to the Denver side, Jokic played like the MVP for the most part, 34 points, 16 rebounds. Michael Porter Jr., 25 on 57%. But beside that, not too much going on. Aaron Gordon, 16 and 8. Most notably, George, because I noticed this, or Lehman noticed it and brought it to my attention. MVP, 1 assist, or the projected MVP, 1 assist. Does that concern you at all?
It does concern me, but someone brought it up. I think it was post game. Terry Stotts said that's how they want to. They want to make him score. They don't want to like blitz him. They don't want to have him passing and creating him. No, but I honestly think that's probably the way that you can beat him. You'd rather have him try and score 30 than him scoring like 22. But if they're sending doubles, he passes out of it to a back cutting MPJ or a back cutting Aaron Gordon. I think that's kind of smart. So yeah, I'm concerned from Jokic's side, but I also think it's a smart strategy from Portland.
Yeah, the Nuggets don't have enough without Murray. There's just not enough offense there. And Joker's not going to be able to score 50 every game.
Exactly.
And it's really not his fault. And then one thing that I have in the notes until I unfortunately froze, the Nuggets were not able to, take advantage of the Blazers' bad defense. And you're not going to win a shootout with the Blazers. So
yeah. And
also they put Millsap on the bench, started Austin Rivers. Didn't go too well. Rivers played decent, not great, but yeah, I'm gonna shut another before I freeze. Josh, anything to add?
No, he was getting cooked. There's no question. We're getting apparently we're getting first round game winner Dame because 34-13, very impressive. And again, the X factor in this is Will Barton because as Lehman said, they don't have enough offense to keep up with this high flying Portland Trailblazers team. They went all in on offense for a reason.
Unfortunately, he didn't even play.
Well, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Will Barton not playing. He is the X factor because he has the capability of taking at least one of those guys out. Norman Powell didn't even play that great. It was just the Dame and CJ show for the starting lineup, and they had a very good showing from Carmelo Anthony in the first half. And they kind of just blew the game open in the third quarter. They did a reverse on themselves because a lot of the struggles have been in that third quarter in their recent playoff history. But now they came out in the third quarter strong, and then they kind of just cruised to the end of it. And they just stayed ahead of Denver most of the second half, which is kind of unfortunate. But beside that, Lehman, Nuggets, Blazers, who wins game 2?
I got Nuggets. There's no way they drop both in the Mile High Club.
As long as the fans don't boo Melo again, I will take the Nuggets.
No mention Melo. 18 points on the bench.
Great
contributions for all the Blazers.
I think you just froze when he mentioned it.
I did mention it. I think Michael Porter Jr. will have even better game than he did in this first one. 30? So I'm going to also take Denver. Moving on. Everybody get your sad trumpets. So the Suns hosted their first playoff game since 2010, and they took care of business against the Lakers 99-90. They were practically ahead the whole time. I think they had a 13-point lead at one point, as it says. Booker and Ayton, oh my gosh, they had a phenomenal debut. Booker had 34. Ayton had 21 and 16, was the best big man on the court today. He only missed one shot. The Lakers struggled heavy on both sides during this game. They had a few runs, as I'm just reading off Lehman's notes, but it seemed like Phoenix always had an answer. The big story here was the 1-2 as Shaq obviously tweeted in pure anger, "A Disney played like a Disney," 5-16, and LeBron James 18 and 10, which is kind of weird because that doesn't scream terrible, but it looked a lot worse than it did. They got out rebounded 47-33, which features Georgia's favorite Laker, Andre Drummond, again as one of the most useless players in basketball. So, George.
There's thoughts on the game here, so
let's keep it to a minimum because I know you're
okay. Well, I'll let George talk the whole time because I don't want to talk and freeze. So let him have my time too.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna make this a whole ordeal, but yeah, Lakers very, very bad shooting from three. They shot 27%. That's not.
We can hear you making sure that you're getting the stats right. Actually.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking, but 27% from three. That's not going to get it done. AD, yeah, not going to cut it. He said post game if he plays like he did today.
What are you typing?
Huh? I'm not typing anything.
You are slapping that desk so hard it is coming out.
He's typing.
I'm glad you're taking both of our time right now, Josh. But he said they're not going to win this game if he continues to play like that, or they're not going to win the series, let alone. But yeah, Booker was incredible. I mean, anything that the Lakers were throwing at him, he was answering. His footwork's incredible. Kind of reminds me of Kobe, but not completely. Ayton, yeah, I mean, huge on the offensive boards. I think he had 8. He was dominant inside, getting lobs, finishing around the rim. I didn't expect him to be as dominant as I thought he would be neutralized by AD, but I guess not. So LeBron just a typical feel-out game, 18, 10, and 7. Chris Paul did lead this one, and he did return, but he wasn't looking like himself, so hopefully he can get healthy for game 2. Biggest things for the Lakers to win next game are going to be three-point shooting and how AD responds. Everything else is just kind of noise at that point.
Fair enough.
That's in the fight.
Oh, I was going to get to that.
I love playoff intensity. Let's do it. I like more of those. Just no malice at the palace, please.
I actually don't like the fight because of the position that it was in. That's how I was going to kind of bring it up. So just in case nobody watched it, because Jake was too busy recording at American Idol the whole day. No offense, but he probably didn't get the time to watch it. So LeBron gets an and one. He misses the free throw. And when he goes up for the free throw, if I can't remember who it was, but
CP.
He kind of
jumped
on the back of CP. CP kind of did his little slide under. LeBron falls hard. It's a hard play. LeBron does his acting skills, and everybody's kind of surrounding. I believe it was Trez that initiated the contact. Campaign didn't like that. Got in everybody's business. Ended with 2 technicals for the Lakers for 2 different players, and Campaign got a double tech and got ejected. I think that sucked the momentum of the Lakers entirely because you just get 2 disgruntled players, nothing motivated about that, because we've seen Montrezl Harrell in this position before last year, or it's not like a positive workup. It's not like what we've seen from like other players where like they get a tech and then they become like even more of an aggressive player. Like he kind of just simmered down. Same with Caruso. Campaign got ejected, and it looked like the Suns benefited off of that. They were like one less player. So be it. I think they took it more personally, and that's kind of why they blew the game open again, because the Lakers were probably had all the momentum in the world. A LeBron steal and one, and I heard that crowd right there when I think that was one of the loudest moments right there when he got that and one. And Chris Paul wasn't happy. They could have easily turned the game around there, and that kind of sucked the momentum out, unfortunately.
George, were you impressed by what you saw with the Suns? As far as not being scared of the moment,
they came
Monty and Chris
intense.
Really having them ready to play.
They did come out ready to play.
All defensive second team, Alex Caruso. Oof.
The Lakers aren't the best in game ones, as we saw last postseason. So,
I'm
expecting them to come out and win in game 2. What are you?
Well, one good thing is LeBron passive, only 18 points, 10 assists. That does show it is a feel-out game, kind of, but still, I saw a lot from the Suns. I didn't see from the Blazers or Rockets last year, as far as us dropping those game ones.
Also, there was a crowd, a very big crowd. Obviously, they didn't have those in the bubble, so felt like they took advantage of that. That city's been waiting for them to get back in the playoffs, and you're playing the defending champs. You're gonna get up for it. So I have them winning in game 2. Lakers. Lehman and Josh, what are your thoughts?
I'll take LA. I think it'll be 2-2 going back to Phoenix, though.
Who has? So George has the Lakers in 5. Do you want to change that?
I have 6, I believe. Let me check that.
I have Lakers in 6.
I also had them in 6, but I do remember we went 5, 6, 7 at the beginning. I went 7 at first, and I changed my mind.
I have 6 on mine. Lehman has 6 on his. Or no, Josh has 6. I have 6. Lehman also has 6.
Yeah, so we all changed it to 6. Fair enough. Okay, so we all have a LA winning game 2, and that's fair.
You hope for my sanity.
Any chance that the Suns win this game 2? And
there's a very good chance.
There's
a huge chance, actually.
There is a chance, yes.
All right,
especially if Disney plays like that. He was pathetic, by the way. Like A Disney looked.
I realized my Drummond hate was showing too much. I mean, he was settling way too much, wasn't being dominant inside like he should have been, and he was just floating. It kind of felt like he was doing more of a feel-out game than Braun was.
At least Drummond was giving effort. Like AD was just
7
very casual.
Rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds. Yeah, AD was doing his own feel-out game, and I
Drummond had like 3 offensive rebounds on 1 possession.
Also, none of the bigs knew how to contain Ayton. This Phoenix offense is very complex. Like there's a lot of cutting. There's a lot of double screen switching.
Yeah, that's true because Drummond was getting lost out in space. But
were you going to tell me that Monty Williams doesn't know how to run an offense?
No, I was just saying, like with Ayton, I feel like they should kind of know, his strengths, and he's going to be rolling it around the rim. I just thought he was getting lost a lot, but I guess that's to the strength of how they run their offense with CP and the pick and rolls and all that. But anyways, let's move on.
Just to wrap it up, I think that's accreditation to Ayton and Monty Williams because I know there were sets where they had Saric playing the Ayton role and they were still succeeding on offense. So I think that has to go to Monty Williams. Moving on, this is the last of the upsets. We had a lot of upset game 1s. Not really surprising in my opinion, but the Grizzlies snuck away with a win against the Mormon city of Utah. The Jazz lost 112-109. Memphis took full advantage of no Donovan Mitchell, played a phenomenal defensive game, 43% shooting. Dylan Brooks had 31 and is making a case for being a top 3 player on that Grizzlies team. He is probably their best perimeter defender at the moment. Ja had 26, including a lot of late fourth quarter control tempo that we've talked about, as George talked about earlier against the Warriors. Mike Conley had a throwback 22 and 11. I don't remember. Let me check if that is on a great shooting because I don't remember everybody shooting too hot. Jazz had more rebounds, blocks, and had 11 more free throw attempts. It does say to go to George. So George,
Mike Conley 6 for 18, so not great shooting.
Yeah. So I before George gets into it, that's kind of the big thing I noticed. The fact that this team relies too much on the 3-point shot. We've talked about it before. We've harped on it many times. But not only that would be an issue if they didn't have Donovan Mitchell, because beside that, they don't really have anybody that knows how to put the ball on the floor and create for themselves beside Clarkson, who went 5 of 16. His efficiency has gone. I looked at it. I looked at it after we did the awards because I thought you guys were exaggerating. No, you're not. Bojan actually had a phenomenal fourth quarter. He's the only reason he played in the game. George, I'm actually going to take this in a different direction because I know we talked about, or Lehman wants to talk about the eye test. Take me through that last play and how you think they could have made it better because they had 4 seconds and the shot they got was probably not the shot they wanted.
You talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I think they I think they might have expected Kyle Anderson to foul because they had fouled up through the previous possession, and I think Bojan got the ball and he kind of like didn't know what to do with himself because I think they thought he was going to foul, and then he just tried to make a move, step back, and just hoisted up a 3. But in that sense, it was smart to go to him. He was definitely the reason they
right guy, wrong play.
Exactly. But just overall with the game now, 25% from three for Utah. What have we said is their Achilles heel? If the jumpers aren't falling in the playoffs,
their Achilles heel is Donovan Mitchell not playing. I don't want to hear that they didn't hit their threes. I don't want to hear it. They had no source of offense besides Mike Conley and Bojan.
I mean, listen, man. Yeah, if Donovan's playing, obviously it's probably a different game. But the supporting cast can't put up 25% from three. And listen,
probably.
Oh, so
this is what you would assume.
Sharpshooter Donovan Mitchell is going to go 7 for 7 from three, right? Totally.
Sharpshooter Donovan Mitchell is going to get them to the rim, get their offense actually doing something. And I'm scared to talk angry like this because I'm going to freeze and get made fun of. But it'll be so funny.
All right, Lehman, I guess we'll transition to you since you're very hot. Two things I want to talk to you about this game. Who won the first game between Jonas and Rudy Gobert? Before you answer that. And the second, actually, you know what? I forgot the second question. So why don't you walk me through the Rudy Gobert-Jonas matchup because you were talking about that. I remember the second question.
Well, it's very –
Back to the basketball, baby.
Using the other 90% of your brain over there, remember? But I mean, I would assume. I mean, I would say Rudy because he had more blocks and he had more boards, which is what he's supposed to do. 11 points, sure. Everything Rudy gives you on offense is a plus, and he didn't miss a shot either. And he's also a +9, so shut up, George. And Jonas Valanciunas was plus 15. Got to give all the stats here. I'm not going to be biased, but yeah, Jonas 7 for 14, and he struggled a lot in the first half. Really picked up second half, but I would probably give it to Rudy just because we've seen Jonas drop 20 and 20 like it's nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So, and the second question is, we don't know when Donovan Mitchell will return. We're expecting a game 2 return, but in a hypothetical situation, if he has a prolonged absence because Bojan did drop some information, I'm gonna steal George's tweet, but he seemed he seemed pretty passive aggressive about it. Why don't you ask him why he missed this game? Hence, probably didn't have the same mentality as other stars. Example: Bradley Beal playing with a bad hamstring. Mitchell's been out for a while. Assuming he returns either this game, next game, or however long, do you think the Grizzlies have a real shot at winning this series? And when does that shot end in terms of when Mitchell returns?
So just as far as the tweet goes, it reminds me a lot of the Spurs when Kawhi was out, when Tony Parker's Tony Parker's like, I have the same injury. Kawhi's a soft little teddy bear. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
Tony Parker said it was like 100 times worse too.
Yeah, Tony's like, mine's 100 times worse. Kawhi can't play. He's weak. But getting back, so I think the Grizzlies' timeline to win this series ends when Donovan Mitchell gets a game under his belt. So if he comes back next game, I think after that, especially if they don't go up 2-0, I would have Jazz. But if Donovan Mitchell doesn't even come back till like game 5, Grizzlies have a great shot of winning this series. I have Utah in 5, but I was expecting Donovan Mitchell to play this game. Yeah, and right now, if I could update it, which obviously Mickey Mouse prediction because I'm updating it now, but I would probably have this series probably going 6 or 7, especially if Donovan Mitchell misses game 2 and there's turmoil in the locker room. They can't hit threes. So, I got all upset because I don't want to blame him on the threes. I want to blame it on Donovan Mitchell missing the game. But until he gets back, they got to hit threes. They got to get threes if he's not there because you're going to have Mike Conley and Joe Jingles drive and kick, and you're gonna get a 3. And if you're not going to make that 3, Grizzlies are going to get all up in your face. And Ja was carving up their defense this game, and then Dylan Brooks was
bad time. He was doing so good.
I was so close.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? He froze again. Okay. So
I have one thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hurry.
Vince Carter talks like it's a podcast on the broadcast. He does not stop talking about the guy, but he does not stop talking. Next game.
Actually, not next game. George, game 2. Who's taking it?
I didn't even get a chance to speak.
You want to talk about the game? You want to read?
I want to
play-by-play.
No, I want to piggyback off Lehman's point because I agree with him in parts. Yeah, Memphis is playing with house money here. No one picked them to even be in the playoffs. Everyone said this. What? I'm being serious.
Too bad I picked them.
No, not you. I'm saying the general consensus. Everyone thought
special, Lehman.
I'm saying
Memphis.
No, only you did. Only you did. But yeah, they're playing with house money, and
JJ
I'm not
did.
gonna say Utah's back's right against the wall, but they need a win here, and Grizzlies are fearless behind Ja, and the Donovan Mitchell thing, he was cleared to play, and all the teammates said that he said he was playing, and then all of a sudden the medical staff just holds him out, which is weird because if he's clear and healthy, you kind of want him out there doing minutes restriction. And then he actually tweeted out about an hour ago. He said, "Sorry, y'all. Wish I could say more. I'll be out there soon." So maybe that's a forewarning for he's playing in game 2, but just really, really weird stuff. So I'll take Utah here. I think even if he doesn't play for some reason, I think that they'll come out with a W this time just because they have a sense of urgency.
Lehman, who wins game 2 if Mitchell plays?
Grizz are going up 2-0 regardless.
Wow. They're
crazy. Here.
Actually, this series reminds me a lot of the 2011 grit and grind Grizzlies when they stole that first game against the Spurs and nobody predicted them. I don't think that their true shining moment is until they return to Memphis. I'm going to take Utah regardless if Mitchell plays, but I do expect him to play. And now we'll move on to kind of the games that we expected. Maybe we could have some things that you could talk about just very slightly. We'll start at the Sunday game, Washington-Philly, 118-125. The Sixers take game 1. Some notable stats: Beal 33, 10, and 6 was closer to a triple-double than
his counterpart.
Russell Westbrook, 16-14, 5 rebounds. Both of them played pretty well, in my opinion. But on the other side of the ball, it just shows how dominant Philly was because it really felt like they were playing a regular season game until probably 2 minutes left when I think Bradley Beal hit a 3 and they're like, all right, let's wrap it up. Tobias Harris, I don't know if that's a career high or something, but 37-6.
He has a 50 burger this year, right?
I think he does. He played phenomenally against Raul Neto. I think the Wizards need to definitely game plan against that. Joel Embiid had a very quiet 30-6. Simmons 6-15, did everything but score. 6-15 rebounds, 15
out there
assists.
To do, baby.
So I mean, Danny Green, Seth Curry, everybody in the starting line for Philly played really well. I would personally, in my opinion, just to get my quick thoughts out, I would like to see Philly's bench get more involved. They were in the game for a good amount of time. Thibault did what he was supposed to do. He just came in and got 2 steals, 2 blocks, and played defense. But I would like George Hill to probably put up a few more shots. He shot 8 shots, 11 points. It's pretty good. Probably get some more minutes. Get some more minutes for Dwight because at some point Embiid was kind of just messing around, and then he got in foul trouble when Daniel Gafford came in. So just to make sure the games don't stay as close because the Wizards could steal games. Because I remember Lehman talking about how close a lot of their games are toward the end of the year. But Lehman, any specific thoughts about Washington or Philly?
Well, I have Washington in 5. I have them still in 1 game at home. Oh, no, sorry. Sixers in 5. Sorry. I'm not crazy. I'm not, just a little bit.
Just a tad bit.
Yeah, but, I mean, this was anyone's game until the refs kind of, choked on their whistle and called it out of bounds just to call it out of bounds for giggles.
When he ran out of bounds.
I agree.
When Daniel Gafford threw it out of bounds.
Fun fact: they got another opportunity with the same score, just like 5 seconds later.
Do you believe in momentum and losing?
Oh,
There's
he froze.
25 seconds left.
Oh no!
Russell Westbrook shooting that 3, regardless if he gets it there or not, and it's not going in either way. So. George, any special thoughts about this game?
Yeah, Beal was kind of like cooking anything that they were throwing at him, even though I know he's on a bad hamstring. So that looked promising for them.
Yeah.
They just can't let Toby be as lethal as was. He had like
Raul Neto, man. He was
28 the half. I don't know if throw Denny. I mean, not Denny. Sorry, Rui. I don't know, but you can't. If you want any chance in this series, you have to neutralize the guys outside of Embiid. So I didn't like that, but. Very, very good showing from Philly.
Alrighty, just to wrap it up, Lehman, who wins game 2?
Philly.
George?
Philly.
I'm gonna also take Philly. And the last game, Lehman didn't write me a recap for this, but which is fine. Because I don't think he expected this.
I was going to go off the dome, but...
Alrighty. Well, anyway, Saturday turned out to be exactly how we predicted it. The Brooklyn Nets took their first first playoff game since 2013 and ran away with it, kind of 104-93. It was kind of close until the end. Boston kept it very close. They shot out of the ballpark at the beginning of the game. But again, they fizzled out, and that's kind of been their story. They just rely on the jump shot a lot. They also suffering Jaylen Brown out for the whole season. Just to name some stats for them, Jason Tatum 22 on 20 shots, Marcus Smart 17, Kemba Walker 15 on 31%, and probably their most not efficient, but their most useful player, in my opinion, Robert Williams, 11 and 9 off the bench. Would like to see him start over Tristan Thompson because of how he played against the Nets. And the Nets, it was literally the big three. Kevin Durant, 32 and 12, Kyrie Irving, 29 and 6, including some big clutch time buckets toward the end. Harden, 21, 9, 8, 4 steals. Didn't shoot too particularly well, but he did everything else. The Nets made only 8 threes this game, and they still managed to win by 11. This just shows, in my opinion, how dominant they are. The fact that they were kind of just relying on the big three. Lehman, I know you had was it you or George? One of you guys had concerns about whether they would be able to gel.
I think that was both of us.
And the fact that they were playing Boston. So, Lehman, I'll go to you first. Didn't look like there was too much issue there. So what are your thoughts on that?
This is the most frustrating thing. Freezing like this when I'm trying to talk. I'll be quick, I guess. Good for the Nets. You get to beat up on. Did I freeze again?
No,
I'm just laughing at you.
Beat up on the good old-fashioned Boston Celtics who play zero defense. It's my only sweep, so I have this happening, like what I saw from the big three. But yeah, I want to see him against Milwaukee. Good game from the Nets. Tatum didn't drop 50. Celtics didn't win. George.
Yeah, that was like the most angry he's ever been on this podcast. Josh did mention it a little bit. Robert Williams is kind of their bright spot. He also had 9 blocks. He kind of looked like Bill Russell out there.
I know.
Did you say 9 blocks?
Yeah.
11, 9, and 9.
Yeah, it was insane.
Hall of Fame pogo sticker. I mean, this guy's like double jumps were incredible. He would like bite on a pump fake and then
telling you,
back
it's
up.
the wingspan. It's 7'6". Nobody understands how lanky this man is.
He was literally looking like,
say long, Josh.
Russell out there.
Say long.
But 82 combined points from the big three. I mean, gelling and chemistry be damned for this series. They're not going to need it, and they're only going to get more comfortable and better and more cohesive as a unit. So that they kind of lucked out with this opponent, with Jaylen Brown not playing. This is like the easiest, ease-in series that they have.
If they play Washington, Lehman? Is this a different series?
It's a very different series.
They'd still win, but they'd get pushed to like 6. This is sweet. Okay, he's mad, but they get pushed to like 6. This is an easy sweep. They're only going to get better from here, but they're going to run into the Milwaukee Bucks next round.
Unfortunately, I did have I had Brooklyn in 6 because I thought Boston would steal this one, and I thought I was on the money at halftime. I was like, they're shooting lights out, and the Nets are kind of struggling from 3. They might steal this one, and then they'll get a 50 burger from Jason. They get a 50 burger from Jason at home. No, the Brooklyn Nets, I wouldn't be surprised if they swept them. I still have faith in Jason Tatum and hopes that he gets 1, but I don't think so. Lehman, who wins game 2?
I had so many things to talk about, but I'm not going to do it. I'm simply going to resist the urge. The Nets are going to win the next one, too.
I have Nets winning game 2, and I think the Celtics, if they do win a game, it's going to be game 4 when they're down 3-0, and I just feel like the sense of urgency from Brooklyn is going to be down a little bit. And,
the gentlemen's.
Yeah, exactly. So I have Brooklyn winning game 2.
All right, so I also have Brooklyn winning game 2. Just so we kind of get these knocked out of the way, on Monday we have Miami and Milwaukee, 4:30 on TNT, and then this doubleheader will wrap it up with Portland and Denver for their game 2. And on Tuesday we'll be able to talk about the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics. Lakers Phoenix game 2, that's the TNT doubleheader, and then on NBA TV 7:30 the Mavs will play the Clippers.
Wait a minute,
those are
30 minutes apart.
Yes, so you are going
to
you're going to have to do a March Madness-esque thing, George. I don't know if you're going to be able to handle it. Which game are you looking forward to most? That's not the Lakers Suns, George.
Clips Mavs for sure.
Lehman?
Heat Bucks.
All right, so I guess I'll take my third option with
Take the Blazers Nuggets.
Yes. Any shining superstar players that we're thinking? Anybody gonna have a big game for any of the rounds, or like a player?
You know
that
what?
looking forward?
PG's gonna have a good game. I'm calling it. I think Pfizer. No more Pfizer.
Okay, Lehman. Not necessarily for your game, but just for any game in general.
I'm trying to think. I think we're gonna see a big Landry Shamet game. No cap.
Okay, well,
He's gonna have 20 or more.
He's so angry, man.
Lehman's thrown all the series.
Poor guy.
When he has 20, don't at me.
I'm gonna take Michael Porter Jr. I feel like he needs to score at least 30 for them to have a legit shot at keeping up with the Blazers.
Only one shot that he's never liked.
Do you want to do
Send us home, please?
That's gonna do it, guys.
I gotta go tell Cody to get off the Xbox.
That's gonna do it for the 2.5 Hoopers podcast. Thank you guys for listening. It was kind of a long one. These next few ones are gonna be long because there's a lot of basketball, a lot of fun basketball to talk about.
Our longest podcast.
Make sure you tweet, make sure you message on Instagram for like the 5 people listening, because George is never caught lacking on his phone. Unfortunately, we're probably going to be skipping half times. So just a friendly reminder that George is the halftime hooper. But beside that, thank you for being an OG and have